What is juice and what the show? I am excited and ready for this special edition of What the Show Top 5. Our top 5 favorite movies. We're going a little layered back today. I don't have one of my lamps is out. I have a little candle lit. I don't have the sunglasses on. We're just rolling.
Way to get in the spooky season, Juice. Got a candle lit. It's fall, y'all. We're doing it.
We're getting the juice after dark.
Oh, it should be my new name.
Yes.
So we're kicking off with our top 5 favorite movies. We're just kind of going to go around in a little snake draft order. I think we had some honorable mentions that we wanted to hit before we actually got into our top 5.
Yeah.
If anyone is hankering to start first on that, I can otherwise.
I will go ahead and start. I feel ladies first.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Honorable mentions. I'll just shoot out some if we were expanding this to a top 10. Some honorable mentions: Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 version with Keira Knightley. 10 out of 10, Joe Wright directed by. I really like any version of Pride and Prejudice, but that one is probably my ultimate fave. Jurassic Park, because iconic, obviously. Back to the Future. And then I would also say Titanic, because it's one of the movies I can quote pretty much from start to finish. So those would be my honorable mentions if we were expanding this out to like a top 10 sort of situation.
Okay.
Well, one of my honorable mentions is going to be very controversial in the sphere. I have to mention it, but it's not making the top 5, and that's Mortal Kombat. So I'm sorry, it's not in my top 5, and I do apologize to everybody who is expecting that to be in my top 5. But while I very much enjoy the movie, it just does not crack the 5. So that's an honorable mention. My movie that just misses the top 5 is Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Holds a special place in my heart. First R-rated movie I ever saw in theaters, so that one is there. Batman '89 also honorable mention.
Okay.
And and I'll also put Clerks as an honorable mention.
Nice. Wow. Some good ones. By the way, Arnold and Terminator 2, still one of the best movie dads.
Not arguing.
That is a very fair point.
It's like the dad who just like makes you hold the flashlight while he fixes the truck. Like that's his whole energy. Like I love Arnold and Terminator 2. Juice, what you got?
Oh yeah, Terminator 2 is right up there. For the few I kind of wrote down, I kind of looked at my top 15, and I kind of wrote down while I was at work today, and I wrote down 9 movies, and then I picked from that 9 movies 5. So, and for the top 5 itself, I went with ones just out of sheer rewatchability and just absolute favorite, or favoritism or whatever, or favoriteness. Just for me and personal enjoyment. And
that's what we're here for tonight.
Yeah.
Personal,
so
your favorite movies.
Yeah. So a few of my honorable mentions: Star Trek 2009 is
that's a damn good movie.
I enjoyed that movie a lot.
Really good. Yeah. I watched it rewatched it a ton.
DJ disagree?
No, I went. Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought you were like, oh no.
That's a fun movie. It's a really fun movie.
Listen,
and the music,
but J.J. Abrams, I love you. I think
could be my favorite score in a movie of all time.
It's a wonderful,
or at least of an action movie. Die Hard is in my honorable mention for sure. Got to watch that every Christmas. Battle Royale, 2000 Battle Royale, the prequel to the Hunger Games, basically.
You're not wrong.
Oh my gosh, I remember my friend and I were like, let's watch this weird movie on Netflix. It's in Japanese, whatever. And then it's just this epic blood fest. And then I'm going to go with the 1972 What's Up, Doc. Has anyone even heard of this movie?
No. What is this movie?
It's
now.
it's Barbara I'll pull up it's Barbara Streisand and Ryan O'Neal. And it's like
a not expect in Juice's honorable mentions a movie that features Barbara Streisand.
Did you rent this from the library?
No, this is my grandpa's favorite movie, but we probably had to rent it from the library. Yeah.
Oh, Rob knows it.
So does Brandy.
Oh, nice.
I was waiting.
Oh, and Brandy. Nice.
I was waiting for. It's my grandpa's favorite movie. We borrowed it from Dagnino.
Oh gosh. But it was written. So to give you an idea, it was written by Buck Henry, who was the co-writer along with Mel Brooks on the Get Smart TV show. Yeah. So it's got that like spoof comedy. So it's kind of a spoof on like plays. I think it's specifically like it's basically like a comedy where there's like all these, every like character has a case. It's very like Broadway like esque, where it's like everyone's got a case and the cases keep getting like switched around, but like there's just so many like funny just spoof slapstick humor in it, and like the whole end scene is like this massive like chase through the city, and like everything there'll be like massive structures, and like a car will like just sneak through like the most narrowest path. So like if you're into slapstick at all, it slaps, for lack of a better term.
Pun intended.
Nice.
But yeah, let's get into it.
So yeah, I'll give my honorable mentions, and then I'll segue that into my number 5.
Okay, I like it.
Number 1, it's recent. My like for honorable mentions. It's recent, but it's Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite animated movie I think of all time. The storyline with uncles and Spider-Man. My favorite uncle, I lost him when I was 17 years old, and the stuff with Uncle Aaron and Miles was just beautiful. You know, I grew up in that gifted kids circle, and the no expectations thing, and you know, it's just. I cried in that movie theater, and it was just this weird thing where I was a grown man drinking a beer alone in a dine-in movie theater, and surrounded by families. It was a strange experience. Just crying my eyes out. It was a beautiful film to me, and I think
great score and soundtrack.
Oh yeah, great score.
Sound. Above all else, it was such a tight story.
Oh,
yeah. So there's that one. There's there was one other that I really wanted to mention before I segued it in. The Congress, which is it was a French animated film that's a really deep kind of allegory for the current studio system, and even goes into things about like the bringing people back to from the dead as CGI characters, and
it's the inspiration for Space Jam, right?
It's one of them. Actually, you can probably look at my overall top, like all my favorite movies, and see how each one of them contributes as a primer. Like watch these before watching Space Jam 2, and that's when we're going to get into the Absurdist trilogy. What I refer to as the Absurdist trilogy of Nicolas Cage now. The combination of Mandy, Willy's Wonderland, and Prisoners of Ghostland is just, if I could put those all in one movie, would make my top 5. Prisoners of the Ghostland might sub out my top 5. The crazy films that even Nicolas Cage, like, he doesn't necessarily overact in them. Willy's Wonderland, he doesn't even speak a word. He's actually quite restrained for most of Prisoners of the Ghostland, and with the exception of the last 40 minutes of Mandy, he does some quiet work as well. Now he lets that rise to this insane level that you really get to see a range of character, but these are wonderful surrealist films. I'm bordering on absurdist. And that trilogy of movies, for me, as I see them, is are some of my favorite movies to revisit. And even a recent Nicolas Cage movie is in my top 5, which I'll get to later. But I'm going to segue into my number 5, which is also a surrealist, somewhat absurdist film. I know Mike and Bethany, you've seen this one with the Southland Tales. Juice, have you seen the Southland Tales?
Oh,
Not
boy.
yet. I've not yet.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
we have
Oh,
plans
yeah.
in Orlando now. You, me, and Jeff in the middle of the night are going to watch
God.
this movie.
Well, we're not in their room, so y'all, yeah, you can do what you want. Also, may I just pause AJ's soliloquy on how great Southland Tales is to say I'm loving seeing everyone's top 5 in the comments. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
send a comment or Streamlabs. Let us know your top 5 because I'm enjoying reading them.
Ooh.
Save me from
Cool.
having to listen to AJ describe why Southland Tales is a good movie. But
So-
carry on, AJ. Carry on.
It's a surrealist, kind of absurdist film. Now, for anybody who's unfamiliar with this movie, it has one of the greatest ensemble casts I think ever assembled.
Insane.
It's
I don't know how all these people agreed to do this movie.
so this is the sophomore film effort from director Richard Kelly, who directed Donnie Darko. Everybody was begging to work with him, so he got, Sean William Scott, he got Justin Timberlake, he got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he got Sarah Michelle Gellar, he got so many people. Wallace Shawn, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson
He's
are in the same movie, and I swear if that's not a Schmodown 5-pointer, PJ, if you're catching this,
Fan of the show, PJ. Fan of the show, friend of the show, PJ Campbell.
please write that 5-pointer for me.
Just for PJ. That'll be for
But
AJ.
it's set in the distant future of the 2008 election. It came out in 2006, and it does this futuristic dystopian thing where it shows how inundated we're going to be with technology. It's actually kind of prophetic with that. It's not afraid to be ridiculous. It's not afraid to. It's really bold. It makes some choices. I don't know how to say anything in this movie.
Absurdist is a way I'd call it.
Please
almost.
explain the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Explaining the plot's impossible because
You can't.
opposed to say those absurdist Nicolas Cage movies, this is a very complicated ensemble plot. This is like if Gary Marshall took acid and wanted to rebel against the government. That's probably the best way I could ever describe this. It's like Valentine's Day or New Year's Day, those kinds of ensemble movies, but it's almost anarchist. And it's so basically the biblical end of the world happens in Los Angeles, and everybody is stupid.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's the best summary that I can give of this. It's
also a weird like car animation scene.
there's a scene where two SUVs fuck each other.
Yes.
That is a thing that happens. There's a scene where Justin Timberlake lip syncs a Killer song.
And it goes for like 4 minutes.
It's almost the entire song
I think
in
yeah.
a smoke-filled arcade
It's
full
really-
of women and Marilyn
Correct me if I'm
Monroe.
wrong, it's all these things that I've done, correct?
It is.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
I've got soul,
It's a weird.
but I'm
I
not
got
a soldier.
soul, but I'm not a soldier. It's a really weird scene. Great song, weird scene. All I gotta say about that.
So yeah, I'm a pimp, and pimps don't commit suicide. And with that, that's my number 5. We got to keep that one. Sorry.
We will also be playing a kind of newlywed game tonight, in which when Mike and I go to answer, we have our whiteboards and we have to write down what we think the other is going to say. Is it my turn to go? Okay, so this is my number 5. I'm gonna write it. Mike's gonna write it. Do I have to write it? Yeah, I guess I do.
So I think I've got 4 of your 5 pinpointed. So one of them is going to be a blind guess. It should be this one, but I'm going to go with one of the ones I know is in your 5. So
Okay. At the same time, ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes!
Oh.
Good job! I'm very proud of you.
I love
So,
that
from
movie.
the acclaimed director who brought us the short-lived Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark musical that came to Broadway for, again, can't state enough, a very, very brief time. Julie Taymor. We're not going to discuss her actual hits like Lion King, the Broadway show. We're going to discuss Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. Yeah, her, that lady. She directed this great movie called Across the Universe, which, if you know me, you know that I love a good musical. And my favorite band of all time, because I'm basic, is the Beatles. And so this was a perfect combination of two things that I love, a nice traditional movie musical and Beatles. And the soundtrack is like superb and phenomenal. And honestly, some of the versions on the soundtrack I might even like more than the original versions. No disrespect, I did state they were my favorite band. But yeah, I really like some of the cool compositions and different things that they did with the songs. And I also like that it's one of the few movie musicals where they did sing, all the actors sang the songs live. And I think it does add a little extra, goodness to it. Very well edited. And also just overall, it's a good classic movie musical love story, weird kind of trippy drug stuff in there. It was the 60s and it is the Beatles. And it climbs my top 5. It's one of my most rewatched movies. I went and saw it in theaters like 3 times, and I went out and bought it immediately when it came out on DVD. And my friend came over, my friend who saw it with me originally in theaters, Elisa, came over and watched it right away. And I own the soundtrack, and I listen to the soundtrack all the time. And yeah, it's just I love it. It's a good movie. That is all.
So Beth, Across the Universe fact.
What?
So, when I very first got my very first apartment, my girlfriend at the time brought home a stray cat, and we didn't know what to name him. And I was watching Across the Universe, and he's
suspense. I'll never know. AJ cut off.
He started meowing along with "Hey Jude," and his name was Jude.
Aww.
So we named him Jude from the "Hey Jude" scene in Across the Universe.
Spoiler alert for if we ever do a top 5 favorite songs of all time. That's my favorite song of all time. So it's great. It's a great name. It's a great song.
So, sorry for the interruption, Mike.
All right.
Why did I LeBron you?
Hold on. Okay, I know this is in your top 5, but I don't know if I have this in the right order. So let me see if I am right, or if this one is higher than I recall it being.
You probably have the 5 down.
You wrote a lot more words than I did, so.
Okay, ready?
I'm gonna guess. Is it Die Hard?
Nope.
Step Brothers. Die Hard is in the top 5 though. For everyone.
All right, so for the this is my.
I forgot about Step Brothers.
This is probably my all-time favorite comfort food movie. I could watch if I am in a bad mood and I just need to turn my brain off. Step Brothers is my go-to movie. It is the most ludicrous film ever. It's so dumb, but in the most brilliant way, and it's so quotable and just so fun that, again, and I'm taking this with my picks. Probably 3 of the 5 of them are 2 of the 5 of them for certain movies that aren't necessarily masterpieces, but this is favorite. This is not best. So.
He is leading me in the competition.
And Step Brothers is.
I don't know which one.
I've watched it so many times. Bethany is
on AJ.
Yeah. I've watched that movie so many times. Bethany has come home and said, "Are you watching that again?"
He does watch Step Brothers a lot. I really should.
It's my favorite.
I know it's in your top 5, but I don't know if I know your number 1. I think I know your number 2, but then the others you switch all the time, so I don't know if I'm going to get them in the right order. But I just want everyone to know that I know what his top 5 is. Okay. It was funny the first round too. Thank you. Yes. No, I really think he should get all of my top 5 correct. Across the Universe was the only one I didn't know if he would remember.
Well, I know 3 of the other ones for certain. The 4th one is throwing me for a loop.
I don't know what could be throwing you for a loop. I'm really, really like obvious when it comes to my favorite movies.
I know
Like,
3 of them off the
very
top of my
obvious.
head, but the fourth one is throwing me.
All
I don't know
right,
why.
Juice, hit us with your number 5, baby.
All right, so this is a movie I saw the first half of probably 20 times before I actually watched like the full thing in entirety. And this is the movie. As soon as like most of the customers would leave, and it was like basically very slow at Family Video, I would throw this on in the background and just learn it. And that is a movie I already have many GIFs loaded up in here, as I just discovered. That is most
Is it from
definitely.
Mighty Ducks? I'm just kidding. I know that's not it, but
Yes!
yeah. Wayne's World.
Definitely Wayne's World. It's
Oh, I love
got to
the
be in
pick.
the top 5.
I love that pick.
So yeah, and so like even though I didn't get to live like really in that time just I just like wish I could live in that like early 90s, driving around, going to like music venue, like music concerts,
The gas
like going
works.
to music stores, yeah, going to see random bands. Like there was like a little music scene
The
in my
Jolly Green
town.
Giants and the Shitty Beatles. The Shitty Beatles, is that, are they any good? They suck. Well, it's not just a
That's
clever
just a
name.
clever name.
I only
Like,
watched
so
Wayne's
many
World
good
for the
moments.
first time somewhat recently.
During quarantine,
During
I think.
quarantine.
Oh,
So
wow.
like
She enjoy-
March or
like-
April of 2020 is the first time I ever watched, like, I've seen like the SNL skits, but I'd never watched the movie.
Comedies are very hit and miss with Bethany, but I think
It's true.
that was one of the ones I think you enjoyed more than a lot of other comedies.
Yes. I'm not the biggest comedy fan. Everyone now knows my weakness in the Schmodown, especially if it's a 90s comedy. Really, 90s movies in general, I'm not great at for some reason.
Really?
That's what we've learned about me.
Oh, no, it's great. Like the first 10 minutes, just the whole like introduction to him, then walking around, going to the diner, and then picking up all the band members.
And then the Bohemian Rhapsody.
I got to quote, I got to literally like non-ironically quote if you're gonna spew in this to a friend the other day. Like we're driving the backseat of a car, something he felt sick, and I actually had like some kind of like little cup with me,
Nice.
and he was just like made some joke about throwing up, and I was like, well, if you spew in this, like, oh,
It's fantastic.
just so many great.
Now, let's see if we can all pick what weird, obscure movie AJ's
Well done,
gonna
Juice
pick.
go.
We're gonna snake draft. We're gonna snake draft.
The juice is next.
But
And we have to
but-
wait like 4 picks to know what weird, obscure movie AJ's
But before we do, we do have a $1 donation to the Streamlabs from the Hudsonizer with a 5 with his top 5. 5 Apocalypse Now. 4 Dog Day Afternoon. 3 The Godfather.
Okay.
2 Sergeant York. That's an out of left field pick. And 1 is Network. Now I'm going to tell you guys right now. I don't know everybody else's picks, but I will spoil that there is one movie on this pick of my list. Great picks though. Great picks.
Can I other weird spoiler alert? Because I've seen now 2 people mention The Godfather, and I feel like it might come up in some other capacity this evening. I don't like mafia movies. I have never been able to get into them. I've tried. I've watched all 3 Godfather movies, and I'm like, meh. Like, I get why people like them. Okay, I do. But it's just not my cup of tea, which is fine.
And I'm the same way. Like if it was an objective list, I'd have to figure out where to place. If I was trying to be subjective, sorry, I might have to try to place Godfather. Like I know it's beautifully made, but it's not for me, and I appreciate why people love it. I read the book.
Yeah, rock on to people that do love it. Like, mad respect. But it's not my, just like I know Pride and Prejudice is probably, or movie musicals, not everyone's cup of tea. I happen to like them.
And some circles, because you don't like part 2 as much as like the original, you could face flat. So putting Godfather 1. Salute to you, Hudson.
Yeah, we see.
I'll reference you back when I hit which one that's in mind. So sorry for the interruption, Juice.
Nice. You do it.
No worries, that gave me time to upload the GIFs because I forgot we were doing the snake draft. So I had to go really silly for the first two. And this is a movie that I haven't seen actually for a few years. I definitely need to rewatch, but seeing like how far it was like in my big top 200 list I made a couple years ago, there's so many reasons why it is. And this is a movie that if you say like this, there's no scenario where I don't sit down and watch the entire thing with you. And it's Spaceballs.
Yes. That's a
great
love the pick. Absolutely love the pick.
So, oh man, and it's been so long, so I can't quote it like as well as I would like to, but I can just, just sitting like from beginning to end. And it's a movie I didn't see it like as a young kid. I didn't watch it till high school, and I fell in absolute love with it.
Yeah, just quick question: how did you make a top 200 movie list? I don't think I could do
tough.
that.
Like 20
Maybe like
stuff.
a top 20 or so.
Well, it started as 100, and then I log everything I watch on Letterboxd, so it actually is easier than it seems, because you just like pull the ones from the highest ranking or whatever. So it's easier than it seems, but I'm too lazy to like really edit it.
Maybe I should
make it accurate. But
So I like the Spaceballs pick. I love for like almost the exact same reasons I said I love Step Brothers. That is just a wonderfully done movie, but script is again such a wonderful script for such a silly movie. It's so well put together.
Yeah, it's tight.
It's tight.
Mel Brooks like slapstick stuff, even like going back to like the What's Up Doc and Get Smart. The movie is on my honorable mentions too. I should have had
The
that.
Steve Carell one?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I love the show. I mean, I watched the show
That movie breaks my heart.
on as a kid. So the whole the Mel Gibson, the Mel
Gibson.
No, give us the
Well,
Mel
what's his
Gibson
name?
Spaceball pitch.
Dude, do tell.
Oh gosh,
What would that?
That's a remake I
What
want to
would
see.
that be like? Very pretentious.
Like
man.
I want Hacksaw Ridge meets Spaceballs
No one
with a little dose of Passion of the Christ.
oh my goodness.
I mean, I feel like there would have to be some kind of weird Jesus imagery or something, right? Like that's
Like
gotta happen.
it would go so far off
The
course of
Braveheart
what the
speech.
heart of it is,
Could there be a brave?
Oh, yeah.
and I
Oh.
could not agree with
Young Frankenstein is great.
you. Pretty much, if Mel Brooks made it, I want to watch it.
Mm.
There's even what would be
Oh,
like
yeah.
a quote unquote miss from him is better than 99% of other movies.
Sure.
Men in Tights, like that, that's probably his most. I had more fun with Men in Tights than almost any other movie. Like as a kid, seeing in theaters, I saw that, like, had no idea what it was going to the theater, and absolutely fell in love with it. So
I didn't know it was. I saw it when I was 4 years old. I thought that was just what Robin Hood was.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
I had no other frame of reference. It was my Robin Hood movie. So
I like that was your first Robin Hood movie. That's actually very appropriate. Oh, speaking of Men in Tights, made me think of another honorable mention for me, which is The Princess Bride. It's a great effing film. That makes my top 10 movies of all time. So,
And
honorable mention.
who in their right mind doesn't like that movie? That's like a damn near perfect movie for anybody of any age, of any
age,
background.
gender, creed, religion, ethnicity,
That's
whatever.
like a perfect
it's a perfect
movie.
film.
It really
Great.
is.
Great movie.
oh,
Man, who knew Men in Tights was so many people's? I think the Disney, like the animated.
The
Disney
animated one was
was
mine, definitely.
probably my
Yeah,
first
the animated was
one.
definitely mine.
Yeah.
But
I didn't see Men in Tights until years later.
I guess it's my
Oh,
turn.
look, some Robin Hoods. I can speak with a British accent.
Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my original guess.
So it's Mike.
You're writing way more words again, though, so it's making me feel like I'm not right. What are you writing? He's like writing a novel. No movie that you like has this many words in the title.
Oh, 100% it does.
What is this movie? I think he's making things up. This is not his real top 5. Step Brothers, 100% is.
Okay, well, no, you're gonna you're gonna hit yourself when you see what it is.
Well, I know what one of them is, but wait, can I change my name? Can I change my answer? Shoot. Die Hard's that high? Because I know what another one is, but this also doesn't have that long of a name. I'm gonna guess this other movie that he likes that I know is.
I put the full title of the movie. That's why it's long.
Is it Evil Dead?
Nope, it is Star Wars Episode 5: The Empire Strikes Back.
Since when this is a bullshit list because that is not his number. I know for a fact we have discussed this many times, and that is not remotely his number 4.
It is my number 4.
Okay, well, he's completely changed. I just want everyone to know I know his top 5 favorite movies, but he's completely changed his rankings in his mind over the last 24 hours.
That's my number 4. That might
for now it is.
For 3, 1 and 2 are always the same, but 3 and 4 can switch. But for this, I'm
then
putting
2 has to be Evil Dead.
So you don't know.
Spoilers.
Empire Strikes Back. It's blatantly obvious if you see everything in our background. Both of us are obsessed with Star Wars, and it's my favorite Star Wars movie. I can watch any Star Wars movie anytime and be happy, but that is the one that is my favorite. So it has to be in my top 5, no doubt, no questions asked, and it's the best one. So that's why it's getting the spot that it gets.
Yeah.
Dude, that is a game player move.
Yeah,
that is like writing out the full title. That was playing the game.
What a dick! He wants to win this game, doesn't he? All right, can we bring up that gift real quick? I'm trying to see what moves we use. Some weird. Also, all one-handed. Very cocky to do a one-handed battle.
We need fighter tip, sword fight commentaries from Bethany.
Yeah, this is. You'd
Right.
like some lightsaber fighting tips.
Yeah.
Here, your girl.
New Hope, and Empire.
So this
Right
is
up there for me, and
mine. Okay.
I usually keep Lord of the Rings and Star Wars off of lists like these because they were just they're so high. It's like
right. So I've
Alright,
got like
so
list of movies.
this is the one that I'm not
This
certain
is
of.
my number 4. Let's see what he put. Yes! Star Wars, A New Hope, as it was later called, circa like the 1980s when they decided to rename it because they came out with sequels. But as it was known in 1977, for all you old people or elitists, just Star Wars. Yeah, there would be no Star Wars universe or anything else. Oops, sorry. If it wasn't for the OG. So the OG has to make it. Also has some of the most iconic things. I mean, Luke looking off into the 2 suns, all of Princess Leia's dialogue, her outfit, her hair, everything. Iconic. Han Solo, iconic. Chewbacca, iconic. So much of what we know as the iconic Star Wars music. Obviously, John Williams' impeccable score was brought into, obviously, in the first one. Although, of course, Empire Strikes Back does.
With the exception of the Imperial March.
The Imperial March.
That's really the only thing that's missing from the
But
first
yeah,
one.
10 out of 10. Great movie. I think it's probably the Star Wars film I've seen the most just because having to flip through the channels, it's on TV a lot.
Probably the same.
Return of the Jedi is on TV a lot as well. I just happened to catch on a lot on TV. But that's the movie when I was 8 years old and my mom borrowed a VHS from Dan Wolf. Shout out to Dan Wolf, wherever you are in the universe. He was a fellow teacher.
The Law and Order guy?
Yeah, the Law and Order guy. We knew him personally.
Nice.
A teacher at my elementary school who my mom
Dick.
at my elementary
Dick
school.
Wolf.
Dick Wolf is Law and Order guy. You're right. And so he had the original trilogy on VHS, and we borrowed it because the year, I set the scene, the year was 1999, and a new Star Wars film was coming out, Phantom Menace. And my mom was like, oh, we should really show the girls these Star Wars films. And we watched the original trilogy, and needless to say, I was hooked. And the first time I saw the first one, everyone else in my family was probably like, yeah, that's cool. And I was like, I want more. I need to know everything about this universe. I am obsessed. I would like to be Princess Leia in real life. And yeah, the rest, as they say, was history. So 1999 on, been a fan. And that's my my Star Wars origin story and why it's my number 4 favorite movie of all time.
Nice.
All right, here we go. AJ.
AJ.
number
Oh
four.
man, I'm so excited to hear.
So we're gonna snake draft 4 and 3 for me, which
Okay.
means
Sir.
I'm
You changed. I'm sorry, AJ, to cut you off.
I
I'll
did
let
not
you.
change my
But
order.
you have 100% changed your order. Anyways, carry on, AJ. She's
You're
a
gonna,
liar.
you're gonna get the other 3.
before I make us all sad and stuff because my 4 and 3 are really. We need to pull Lego
Yeah.
longest title: Night of the Day of the Dawn of the Son of the Bride of the Return of the Revenge of the Attack of the Evil Mutant Alien Flesh Eating Hellbound Zombified Living Dead Part 2 and Amazing 2D. Lego, is this a real movie?
And what did the movie tickets say if this came out in theaters?
Did you
Because
get
it
like
was
4?
certainly
Did
not
you get, like,
remotely.
Oh, no, more than
that
that.
full
Shit,
title.
You need like 6 movie tickets for that.
It
Maybe.
would have been like part 2. Like that's all you got on your ticket.
If this is a real movie, I really feel like I need to see this. I can't Google it to see if it exists.
It's too many words.
And do we have to do a drunk review of this?
Because I might. Can I find it on a streaming service? Can I buy it off Amazon? I mean, like, screw Jeff Bezos, but can I buy it off Amazon? Because if so, and I can get it.
Is it on Tubi?
It's on Tubi. I sure as hell will watch it.
So my number 4, that is a real movie. It's just a redub of the Night of the Living Dead. It's bad. The title's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm
okay.
still gonna watch it though.
Can I find it
So my number 4, to me, and it's not my number 1 film of the 90s, but it's the best made film that happened in the 1990s. And that is Roberto Benitez's Life is Beautiful. Now, Life is Beautiful. It's a Holocaust drama with notes of comedy. The main element of this movie is that Benini, who directed and starred in this film, plays the dad of a family who ends up in concentration camps in Italy during the Italian occupation near the end of the war, and makes it a game for his son during the horror of the Holocaust. There's like a scene where when
I
they
like that I was like space wizards, and then AJ's like, let's talk about the Holocaust.
Yeah, but it's weird because there's elements of like Mel Brooks style comedy in this movie. There really is. When they first get taken into the camp, the guards ask if somebody speaks German and Italian so that prisoner can translate. And he sets up, as they're talking about ways that they'll be executed. He does this whole thing that's just amazing with, no one will cry for their mommies. If you cry for your mom, you will not receive any points, and the winner receives a tank. And he makes it a game for his son, being a concentration camp. Makes this beautiful fantasy for him to live out in such horrible conditions. And have you guys seen the movie? Do you guys
First
know it?
came out. It's been a long
I have
time.
never actually seen it, but it's one of those movies that people talk about all the time.
I just remember him at the
That I
Oscars climbing over the
feel-
seats. That's
that
what
I
I will
feel
always
like
remember.
I should have seen it at this point in my life, but I somehow, again, I'm telling you, the 90s are a weird gaping hole in my filmography knowledge.
Can I spoil the movie in a way that might make you want to watch it?
Sure, I mean, it's already something I feel like I should watch.
Can I spoil my favorite moment of the movie because it is the end?
Yes, spoil away. This is a spoil.
We'll forget it by the
So-
time we watch it.
Yes.
I don't know. So they're trying to sneak out of the concentration camp, and his and the dad, Roberto Benini's character. I froze again. He just does this huge goofy grandstand distraction so his son gets out, and he's shot and his son doesn't see it. And at the end, his son crawls out of a manhole cover, and the Americans are there with tanks. He's like, "I did it! I won the tank!"
That is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Both tragic, but
Goes
kind of funny.
with an American soldier, like outside of the top of a tank. It's this amazing, harrowing comedy somehow about family. It's one of the most beautiful movies ever made. So we're going into from that to number 3, which I struggled. I struggled putting a movie so recent in my top 5, but with how much I've rewatched it, I had to. And this is the other one that is let's get sad and shit. It's Pig.
Pig.
I was kind of expecting this to be in there.
Can I just say perfect picture, Juice? Thank you for capturing
Yeah.
the perfect picture.
So walking into this movie, walking to the theater, I saw the tagline. I was expecting that it's John Wick, but a pig and Nicolas Cage. I was expecting that movie.
Me too.
And I saw the tagline. There are only so many things in this world that you get a chance to truly love. This is it's a deep meditation on grief. I can't spoil this one because it hasn't been out for 20 plus years. Nicolas Cage gives his best performance ever, and I was one who put Leaving Las Vegas in probably like my top 5 actor performances of all time. What this movie says about grief, and I correlate this movie to a passage from novelist and poet Anais Nin. We write to taste life twice. This movie shows you what that's like. If you don't think of a lost loved one watching this film and just end those moments. I don't know what to say for you. I think awards season, if this movie's forgotten by the awards season releases, it's truly a shame.
If this came out in November, I think it would be very much in everyone's mind frame. It just coming out in what was it, the beginning of August or the end of July? I don't remember specifically, but when it came out, it's the only thing that's going to hold it back.
Now there's everybody talks about the scene with him with another chef, and talking about modern culinary things. For me, there's a final scene in a house that is the most haunting meditation on grief, and probably overall the film does this, but for me, these scenes as a whole, a commentary on positive masculinity that we do not see.
I know. I've seen the movie, so I know what you're talking about.
That is unmatched. So beautiful. So I've made everybody sad, right? I'm sorry about that shit.
I'm gonna bring things back up a little bit because AJ's just depressed everyone now.
Yeah,
it is a beautiful movie, though. It really
sad
is.
Grief and
I can't wait to see both of those movies.
Mike has already written down his answer on the board, which I can tell you is correct. But for the purpose of the game, I will write down my answer on the board. My absolutely, just again, this is probably the movie I can quote better than any movie.
Oh, and I can verify this. Yes, she can.
Like I literally can quote this entire thing. Yes, much like Ted Lasso, I believe in communism, rom-communism that is, and my number 3 favorite movie of all time is the greatest romantic comedy of all time, directed wonderfully by the wonderful Rob Reiner and written by why am I brain farting on Nora Ephron's name, and co-written by Rob Reiner. Anyways, When Harry Met Sally, it's great. Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, absolute classics. Again, as we were kind of talking earlier, I am very picky with comedies, but I do love a good romantic comedy. Yes, I know how they're all going to end. But they're fun to watch, and a lot of them, when done well, like When Harry Met Sally, which everyone just go home after it came out, should have just given up. Absolutely brilliant cast. Like I said, Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan. You also have supporting roles by the wonderful, amazing Carrie Fisher. May she forever be in our hearts. But yeah, it's just I can quote like the entire thing. I like going from the Holocaust, and then my movie is like, well, there's like an orgasm joke in a diner, and Rob Reiner's mom is all like, I'll have what she's having. That's great. It's my go-to New Year's Eve movie. I know people have like classic Christmas movies that they watch. My go-to every holiday season is I always watch When Harry Met Sally on New Year's Eve. It is not the end of the year or the start of the new year unless we have watched When Harry Met Sally. I've always thought that New Year's Eve / New Year's was like the most romantic holiday, like way more romantic than Valentine's Day, because I grew up just obsessed with this movie. I also probably watched this movie like a little bit too young, considering that it is technically a rated R film. But yeah, all the jokes that were bad like went over my head when I was younger. And of course,
I'll have what she's having. Yeah, that sounds delicious.
That just seems so good. Just everything. It is just so cleverly written, and I just feel like romantic comedies get such crap, and I know that some of them are so bad. Like, if you go on Netflix right now, you can find so many bad movies, but this movie is literally pure perfection, just like dialogue and the chemistry and the comedic timing, and Billy Crystal is just an absolute gem, and like this is Meg Ryan, like peak Meg Ryan, like her best. And like I said, Carrie Fisher, like you just can't, like everything about it. I baby fish mouth. I say it all the time. I quote. I also think sometimes I debate which one I'm more like, if I'm more of a Harry, if I'm more of a Sally. Certain pickiness of my eatings might be Sally-esque, but I think I'm probably more of a Harry. But then I don't know, I can be optimistic, but the whole like reading the last page of a book is a thing that I've always done. I don't read the last page because that gives away, but anytime I ever pick up a book, I read the last line of it. It's the first thing I do when I pick up a book. And I don't know if like I've just been like that, or because I watched When Harry Met Sally when I was so little that I like kind of got that, like I stole that from Harry. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's a thing that we have in common, and I could just blab on about it. I could just sit here and quote the entire movie for you, but nobody wants to see that. So we're going to see if I can finally attempt to maybe actually get one of Mike's right, because he has changed his order, people. I know these movies.
I sent it to Juice this afternoon, so this is not changed.
Yeah, but you changed it since the last time we discussed it. Is it wait? I know what it is. He keeps changing the order. I said earlier that I thought I knew what your number 2 was then.
All right, so speaking of holiday movies, the greatest holiday movie of all time. That's right. Not just the greatest holiday movie of all time, the greatest action movie of all time. And John McClane is my second favorite movie character of all time. We're going to get to number 1 when I get to one of my other choices. But again, just everything about Die Hard is perfection. This is what action movies should be to me. And it's another movie. It's a tradition. I watch Die Hard every Christmas Eve with my father, and it's become a family tradition. And I just absolutely, it's so quotable. And Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber is quite possibly my favorite film villain of all time. So, there's so much to love. Reginald Bell Johnson as Al is so perfectly cast. I know, he's known as a cop from that time frame. He was very typecast, but can you imagine anybody else in that role?
Oh, it's so good.
Hearing Run DMC in the limo, there's just so many things about that movie that just, it's iconic to me in so many ways, and there's no way that wasn't going to be in my top 5.
Oh yeah. When I first got as a diehard fan didn't actually intend that. Into movies, by starting to watch Screen Junkies movie fights and stuff. The first movies I went and got from the library was Predator and Die Hard, and
nice.
Double featured that, and it would change my life. So yeah, every Christmas now though, Die Hard.
It's
absolute best. I remember having roommates in college, and they're like, "What do you watch?" Die Hard, whatever. And then they're like, watching the whole thing, and it's like their favorite movie by the end of it. So
How do you not get sucked into that movie? Like, seriously.
Juice.
All right. So
Wait,
I'm
everything else
on
was-
3.
Three and
Three
two.
and then in 2.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Okay.
we're getting down.
So
to the
I'm going to
nitty-gritty.
finally leave the comedy, although not completely. There's still definitely comedy elements. So this is a movie I saw 3 times in theaters, and it was soon after 2014 when I was just getting into movies and seeing a movie like this. That was so much fun, and this director has definitely become one of my favorite directors, and it is The Kingsman.
Kingsman's a great movie.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
That would, I don't know where exactly that would fall, and it's not like top 10 for me.
I haven't
probably
seen
like
it
top
enough
20.
times, I think.
It's my
to have-
favorite comic book movie, Juice. So I got that with you.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
the reason he watched it
Yeah.
because I was saying it was
Oh,
so
nice.
good. And he finally watched it.
And
Favorite
And-
live action.
This prequel has been, we've been seeing previews for the prequel
What-
forever.
I can't. I was
Alright.
like, Jesus, when is this movie ever going to come out? I mean,
Yeah.
I know the world shut down and all that, but I'm excited for the prequel.
Yeah.
The sequel was kind of a letdown, but the prequel looks
Right.
really good, so I'm excited for it. But yeah, the original.
The
Kingsman
original-
is
that's a great
so
movie.
good.
Such a great blend of action and character and humor and just like a fun overall story. And Matthew Vaughn, he does that in Kick-Ass. He does that in X-Men First Class.
Yep.
And I think he does it best in Kingsman. I think he perfected it for Kingsman.
I'm not going to argue that. I think that's a very fair
And
statement. Yeah.
the first time it dawned on me how many like action spy people have the initials JB. So thank you for pointing that out to me, Kingsman. A little
James Bond.
slow.
So good.
I
So,
was like, oh, you're right. Jack Bauer.
Juice,
James
before you get to
Bond.
number 2, we had another list that I wanted to make sure we shared. Let me get back to where it was. Okay, so
Unbreakable is a good movie. I'm with you on that title. So that's a good film.
where's the
And some
first
people
one?
have some really great.
Okay, so here we go. So we've already heard this one.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
We've already discussed that one. And then we have this is a good choice too.
Logan's a great.
That's a real good choice. I'm on board with that one. And then we have
Rival. Nice.
Oh, that's good. Good side. Good side. Unbreakable.
No, not Unbreakable Kimmy shit. It's different.
The mother
nice.
effing Nathan.
So,
Yeah,
do we still have more on
We've been
Kingsman?
watching it.
We still have to watch the third one. Do people want me to drunk review Matrix Revolutions? Because I might have to be drunk to get through that movie.
I'll do it with you.
Probably will.
I was going to say we this is something that we could potentially.
That's trendy. People are watching The Matrix. The new one's coming out. I'm hyped for the new one. Don't get me wrong. But I was like,
If we do-
man, people's.
So, do we still have more on Kingsman?
No, we can move on to 2.
Okay.
Unless
Before
you
you do,
unless
before you
wanted
do,
to- yeah.
that movie influenced my shoe buying choices.
Nice.
I took my shoes off.
That's awesome.
Oxford's not broke.
You're legit, AJ.
Manners maketh man. We do have
So
two top 5s and Streamlabs before we move to number 2.
Oh, nice.
And we got dollar donations each from the French Taunter. Thanks, Matt.
Give it a half.
Number 5, the producer. Number 4, Goodfellas. 3, Jaws. 2,
Nice.
Black Dynamite. I love Black Dynamite too, man. I'm sorry I didn't make my top 5 because I didn't mention
Not
it.
surprised that's in that list.
And then number 1, The Empire Strikes Back. Great
Cheers.
list. Some of
Absolutely.
my favorite films.
That's a good top 5 right there. I
I'm
respect
on board
that.
with it. Yeah.
So y'all remember like when they used to do like the Disney Channel actor commercials and they were talking about their favorite things? There's one actor, like a bunch of these actors were talking about Goodfellas and The Godfather as their favorite movies, and they were in Disney Channel commercials. Like it was a real thing.
I said it because it sounded smart, you know, and they're like, the kids won't know. They haven't seen these.
Yeah. And then we got one from Jonathan Caro, friend of the show, Jonathan Caro as well. You know, we haven't had French or Caro on this show. We should do like that. This should be a thing.
Both,
Oh, yeah.
both are overdue. We'll make both of them happen.
So,
We promise.
so he said, "Hey, In my opinion, Godfather supersedes my top 100 list, so I'll pick my top 5 excluding The Godfather.
Okay.
5.
Hardcore love for the Godfather.
Me with
tonight.
Lord of the
And you
Rings.
know what? I respect it.
So 5, Die Hard.
Yes.
4, The Shawshank Redemption.
Love it.
Great pick again. 3, Alien 2. Well, Aliens?
Alien, yeah.
3, Alien. Sorry, 3, Alien. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Alien, number 1.
2, Goodfellas. And 1, It's a Wonderful Life. Huh,
Okay.
Beautiful. I love Jimmy Stewart.
I respect that.
I like that list a lot, Jonathan.
Can't
That's a
go wrong. And
great
I'm not going to
list.
talk about why I love Casablanca. I'm just kidding. I don't really. It's fine.
And then we'll do Joe. We'll do Joe's before we go into number 2 as well.
Yeah.
Grandma's Boy,
Fun movie.
Snatch.
Snatch is a fun movie too.
Oh,
Lucky
Snatch is
number
great.
Snatch.
What's
I love. I love all Guy Ritchie.
Oh, Guy
Um,
Ritchie. Yeah, I know.
Late 90s, I think, maybe 2000 that came out.
Lucky number.
Yeah,
and then
2000. Yeah.
Lucky number 11. I've never heard in somebody's top 5. I respect it. I like it and I respect it.
Spaceballs, obviously.
We had it at Family Video, but I never pulled the trigger.
Hey, drink.
And Boondock Saints. And we've heard my number
All right,
2.
Juice.
All right. So this, like, I feel like in the overall space, this is a very loved movie, but I don't remember where I brought it up, but like I brought this movie up as one of my favorite movies, and people were like, I didn't really like it,
I know.
and it pains me because this is easily like this was the one pretty without question needed to make the top 5 besides my actual number 1. And oh my goodness, this is probably the movie I've seen the most of the movies so far. Well, whatever, but like I've seen it a lot. This is a movie I can quote all day long, and it is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh,
Nice.
But I know what your one is,
That's
Ben.
a good
But
movie.
yes, that's a great movie. Like, there's so many people in that movie too that like went on to such bigger things. And
Yeah,
I think that movie opened up their careers to them.
I also feel like it's one of those movies that I didn't fully get
The
the
first
first
viewing.
time I saw it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I
first
understood
time,
a
yeah.
lot more upon second
Yeah.
viewing.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, what? Why do people like this? And then I was like, oh, I get it now.
Edgar Wright did a really,
Edgar Wright's phenomenal. 10
'Cause
out of 10. Love
in
him.
the wrong hands, that's a really tough movie to direct.
Oh, yeah.
Telling that story is not easy, but with the visual style he went with and the casting decisions.
Yeah, Joseph, you're not wrong. It's top 5s are hard because then you think of other good movies and you're like, yeah, that is a good film.
And lesbians with that.
Yep.
William
There's so
Arrow
many
the Child.
great,
Yep.
so many great little quotes in it.
Prince.
And I don't know.
A sneakily, like, that's the thing with that movie is some people tend to forget it, but that's a movie I could rewatch anytime, honestly.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think that was just a great director.
Get something new out of it every time. Yeah, like the vegan might be one of the best. Like, goes to the whole like the vegan storyline.
He punched the highlights out of her hair.
Yeah, the bunch of highlights out of her hair. Scott, my friend and I rewatched this scene 15 times. We just turned it back around.
So stupidly funny.
We're like, what?
I gotta say, speaking
so-
of Scott
so
Pilgrim,
much.
and now Joseph has brought up Zombieland.
Yeah.
Everyone get a drink. When I worked at the movie theater, there really was some quality films coming out. Like those first couple years I worked there, like shoot.
Zombieland's another one of those movies. If you're
Like
in a bad mood,
Zombieland,
just put Zombieland on. How
500
can you
Days
not
of
be in a bad mood
Summer,
after
like
watching
all
that?
of that came out around the same time, and there was like some good quality comedies coming out.
2012 or 2010 to 2014 could be one of the best like 4 years of movies.
It's a good run. It's a good
The
run.
Social Network came out during
Great
that time. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
That's what I think personally one of Pinterest best. Yeah, just some great times.
Green Lantern.
Okay, not everything was solid, but we had a good run during
Taika
that.
Waititi, Ryan Reynolds. How can you go wrong?
And this was before like the big like it was like all MCU. It was like even though the MCU movies that came out at that time were not like that great. So it was like all the other movies that were doing well.
Okay, so we're back to the newlywed game.
All right.
It's Evil Dead.
You are incorrect.
Oh,
It is
what?
Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn.
That's just what I call it. I know which one's your favorite. It's you made me watch it. I've never finished it. I'm not a fan.
So
It is
okay,
right.
I need to
I feel like I probably
Mike, before you go into it, I need to say why this matters. Say Blockbuster was still a thing and like streaming services weren't. And then you're coming home and she's like, I rented one of your favorite movies for you. It's the first one, not the second one.
Every time we talk about it, we just say Evil Dead.
Well, here's the thing: is like I love the original Evil Dead as well. Don't get me wrong; I love the original, but the second one is what made Ash into Ash.
Yeah, but I know it's the second one that you like the best.
Yeah.
I know that. But wait, isn't the first one? The first one isn't even like called Evil Dead.
The first one is Evil Dead. The third one is Army of Darkness.
I can't even keep it straight.
But so, Army of Darkness goes almost full blown into comedy.
Is this Sam Raimi, right?
Yep. The second one is
Director of
I like
Cleveland
Sam Raimi.
Smith.
It's not good for this trilogy.
it is still a horror movie, but it throws the Three Stooges in there and just creates something that probably to that point had never been seen, and to this day is tough to replicate. Has some of the absolute best camera work you are ever going to see in any movie of all time, and my single favorite movie performance of all time, right there, Bruce Campbell as Ash in Evil Dead 2 carries that movie in a way that no other performance ever has done for me personally. And I don't even love horror. I'm not that big of a horror movie fan. And this is my number 2 favorite movie of all time.
Meh.
I have a little guessing game for the crew. What Bruce Campbell movie did we watch about 30 minutes of during your wedding? Not during your actual wedding, but
I hope not during my actual wedding.
I think it was before the wedding. It was the day of the wedding. What Bruce Campbell movie we watched like 30 minutes of me, Chance, and Rachel Silvestrini and Kelsey and Jerry watched like 30 minutes of this. It was just on TV.
Army of Darkness.
No, I think it's. I'll give you a year.
Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep.
How did AJ know that?
And what
And your winner.
What channel was that on?
Gosh. We immediately went to Bob Ross after.
It was a pay-per-view.
Oh, Bruce Campbell. I don't get the Evil Dead love. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm probably like going to be ostracized because I don't like the Godfather or Evil Dead. But again, not everything is for everyone.
And now here's the thing with the original 3 Evil Dead movies. The first one is outright horror movie. That there's moments of one-liners or something like that, but for the most part, this is a straightforward comedy. The second one is literally it's a horror movie that throws the Three Stooges into it and has some of the best physical comedy you're ever going to see in any movie because of Bruce Campbell and the way that he
I'd like it to be known I did not laugh once.
And then you got Army of Darkness, which has a few moments here and there of horror, but is pretty much a comedy.
How far did I make it into?
You got maybe like 35 minutes in. You didn't even get close to the the tree coming to life and yeah.
I was I don't get that.
She saw the scene where the deer head turned its head and started laughing at him and everything started flipping out. And she didn't lose her mind like I did the first time I saw it. I'm like, oh, I lost her.
Yeah. Can't say anything. I'm sorry to disappoint all the Evil Dead fans out there. I'm sure, again, it's great if you like that sort of thing. Here is the movie, which I know he knows. He definitely knows my number 2, my number 1. That corresponds with something that he moved on his list. And I'm gonna be bitter about it forever.
I did not move it.
But yes, the greatest Star Wars film of all time. Empire Strikes
I'm still
Back.
writing it.
I did not write the full thing. Nobody got time for that.
You were going to commit to the joke a second time.
Empire Strikes Back. He did it. He did it the entire time. I mean, again, what can even be said about? I really love Star Wars. I really love Empire Strikes Back. Mike already talked about it earlier. Can I just say, it's my one thing to say about it, besides the fact that it's great and introduces Lando Calrissian, which is just absolutely, again, talking about iconic characters. That's another iconic character that I was introduced into the Galaxy Far, Far Away in this film. The other thing that is absolutely great about Empire, though, everyone, of course, remembers the Imperial March being entered into the lexicon of Star Wars music, which is a great iconic piece of music that, again, is so iconic that people forget that it wasn't introduced
It's not in the original,
until the second film. But if I may, another absolutely 100% iconic character that was introduced.
Boba Fett.
No. My everyone's favorite little green guy until Baby Yoda came on
I know
along
who it is.
is Yoda. And can I just say that I think Yoda's theme is an even better song than Imperial March and doesn't get enough credit or love. So just justice for Yoda's
It
theme.
also features the most underrated character in Star Wars history, who saves the ice cream.
That is true. My favorite character in all of Star Wars. No, everyone, I know what you're thinking. Bethany, I thought your favorite Star Wars character was Ahsoka Tano and or Princess Leia. You're close. My favorite character of all time is Will Rohit, who has a total of 5 seconds of screen time in Empire Strikes Back in Cloud City, and he saves the ice cream. And he's great, and he has an action figure, and people do it running at every celebration in his honor. So 10 out of 10, Will Rohit's my boy. Thank you. And I've said my piece.
Juice, can you pull up a?
I'm working on it.
For me, a true legend.
Let's do this. Let's start. Stop the
again,
time.
Every
So
other Star Wars movie is great.
Oh, that's
But
what that-
I'm just saying,
wait.
any other Star Wars film has Will Rohit.
so Bethany, when you say Mike changed his list, would you say that he altered the deal?
He did alter the deal.
Pray he doesn't alter it any further.
My 1 and 2 never change.
No,
He
sorry.
changed.
My 1 and 2 never change.
But I think Empire used to be like 3.
3 and 4 are interchangeable. I've always said.
So
Here.
before we get into mine, because we're giving Juice time for this GIF.
Yeah.
I mean, there it is.
There you go.
I didn't know about this until
The greatest hero in
That's
the
awesome.
galaxy.
It's a real thing.
Ice
It's
cream.
a real has
Ice cream.
Yeah, every
that's great.
Empire celebration there is the running of the hoods, and everyone cosplays as Will Rohit, and not everyone, but everyone that wants
They
to.
run around.
And they just run around with the ice cream makers, and they just chant things like that, like "What do we want? Ice cream," or "Save the ice cream." It's one of my favorite things. If you ever have the chance to attend a Star Wars celebration, 10 out of 10 would recommend, and I also recommend seeing the Running of the Hoods because it's great, and he's a fantastic character. Thank you.
nice.
All right.
AJ is the one we've all been waiting for.
I'm already thinking of how to segue my 2 and my 1 together because they are very different movies. This one is actually, it's probably the most lighthearted movie on my list, and that is Scream.
Ooh.
I
Number
mean,
2.
I could see what you mean. It's lighthearted in a sense, and a great
it's
film. Kevin Williamson.
and you know I'm a horror fan, but what it did, like, you can still go back into this movie and think about how modern horror movies are subversed by this one. The performances are great. There's some 90s ishness to it. Matthew Lillard in Scream,
Listen, Matthew
one of-
Lillard in anything is great. I love him.
but Scream is just Jeff's kiss. I mean, he's one of my probably my most
Jeff's
quoted
kiss?
movie. Yes.
Yeah, Jeff's kiss.
I'll know what that's like soon.
Wow.
And that's the moment the stream got off the rails, ladies and gentlemen. No, so he's one of my most quoted movie characters is Matthew Lillard in Scream. Feeling kind of woozy here.
Yeah.
shit like that. He's just, you hit me with a phone, you dick. I love him. But it's the subversion of the drama. It's also the fact that it becomes a deeper drama when it is Sydney's boyfriend who is the killer. When it is somebody that she trusted the most and hurt her in ways that she never knew, and it creates a deeper drama there while being this really.
While he's talking about boyfriends being killers, you're like,
well, you're married. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. But it
never do that again. That was so weird. Stop.
It's subversive in that it's actually a good horror movie while being a horror comedy. I actually have seen this movie more than anything else in my top 5. Probably more than any movie in. I've watched this movie more times in the past 10 years, at least, than any other movie. It's my most rewatched.
My biggest pet peeve is that Scream is the perfect satirical horror movie, and then Scary Movie came along. And you cannot spoof a satire. It was already satirical.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Scary Movie's fine.
My whole life.
The first Scary Movie actually got better with the second one. The first one, though, it's exactly the best thing to say. Yeah.
And then Scary.
I keep confusing
smarter, better, scary comedy. Like it's a better done movie. You already had a perfect satirical comedy. Why'd you need to make Scary Movie?
And then the Scream sequels were better spoofs on the first Scream and the horror genre in general than the Scary Movie franchise. Even if you only do the first one, which is actually good. But there's elements of drama that are real in Scream, and like it's almost like a Hitchcock movie meets a 90s comedy, and it's so good. It's so good, my man. I fall asleep watching this movie a lot.
Great movie.
Before we go to your number 1, let's we have a couple of other mentions in the chat. So yep.
Family. We know, Strino, we know.
And we got a.
I love The Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That's a great pick. That's in my it's in my top 10 probably. No, definitely. I love it.
Jeremy Miller with my mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me. Yeah. The line deliveries are just.
I think Scream outside of the Evil Dead franchise is my number 1 most watched horror movie. So yeah, I'm on page with you on that.
Well, and like that ending scene, like was so much improv from Matthew Lillard.
Mm-hmm.
Like the stuff like I'm getting kind of woozy here, and my mom and dad are so mad at me. Those were improv.
Yeah, he improv them.
Matthew Lillard doesn't get enough credit. I love him. He's great.
And Neve Campbell, like
we didn't.
I feel bad that she ended up in something that ended up being like this is the satire, this is the antithetical piece to slashers, ended up almost being typecasted into a final girl for a lot of her career. There's a lot to go into there, and it's not the fault of Wes Craven or anything. It's industry problems, and so my number 1. So my number 1 film of all time. I mentioned this one earlier, actually. I mentioned it would be on here, and I'm actually going to, on my birthday, November 2nd. I'm going to be reviewing this movie with Koi Genre on this channel. It's 1976's Network.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people know Network from I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. That entire scene in its 5-minute entirety is one of the most beautiful things in the world. But the actual overall message of this film coming out in 1976, being this super prophetic story about the dangers of the 24-hour news cycle and political punditry. Political punditry had only existed about a decade. It was like plus or minus a couple of years with no, it was the Kennedy. It was the Kennedy election with William H. Buckley and Gore Vidal. So it only existed that far, and it was the dangers of politicizing the news. Think about this: 1976. It only existed for a little bit more than a decade. The dangers of the 24-hour news cycle. What this does to the people involved in the news cycle's actual mental state, and how much we can rely on them, and how much things are sensationalized. And at the same time, it's satire, it's comedy, it's deep drama. There's a suicide attempt very early in this movie. Jesus Christ Network is one of the most timeless films in its message and how we need to communicate and how we need to love each other, get past the messages in media, mainstream or otherwise, social media even. You could even ascribe this to how the news cycle affects social interaction. It's beautiful. It's beautifully done. It's well acted. It's directed by Sidney Lumet, who's my favorite director of all time. And he's the best actors director of all time. And what Peter O'Toole, Faye Dunaway, the entire cast is just amazing in their portrayals throughout the film. If you haven't seen Network, please watch Network. Please, if you watch Network because you're watching this right now and you see it for the first time, let me know. I want to talk about this movie with you. This is it's powerful, it's important, it's poignant, it's has moments of comedy, has moments that just will make you cry. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore is the news cycle. Fuck.
It's amazing.
Why do I always have to go after AJ? Because he like breaks it down real deep, and I'm like, I like this silly movie for this reason.
Yeah, but
I
you're
swear to God, if it's a Brave Little Toaster, I'm leaving.
Film. Name me a more perfect film than my number one. I'm gonna go ahead because I know Mike 100% knows this. I'm gonna go ahead because I feel like my number one is super obvious. If anyone's number one, no, I was gonna have the boys guess, but you showed it. I was gonna say I'm gonna bring it to my podcast host, but you've already ruined it, so never mind. I'll just go ahead.
I saw it. It was El Mariachi, directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah. I'm a big Rodriguez fan. My number one film of all time, directed by my number one director of all time, is of course the one and only E.T. Extraterrestrial. I'm sorry everyone, but E.T. is an absolutely perfect film. And is my favorite subgenre of films, which is kids riding on bikes, of any movie where a kid rides on bike. The Goonies, Stand By Me, any of that. Those are all great films. The Princess Bride. You're right, Joseph. It's a great movie. We talked about that earlier. Anyways, E.T., absolutely great film. Absolutely just, again, like what hasn't been said about E.T.? Like there's nothing I'm going to say. Everyone in the world has seen E.T. Everyone's grown up with E.T., but it's one of those movies. This is I'll go ahead, I guess, and just tell my personal experience with E.T. Basically, when I was 7 years old, we went to Universal Studios Florida. Great place, I've heard. And we rode the only, to this day, remaining ride. There's two remaining things, but it's the only remaining attraction, Horror Makeup Show and E.T. the Ride. We rode E.T. the Ride. I had never seen the movie at this point. And I rode the ride. I was obsessed with it. I was a big scaredy cat when I was little, and I did not ride a lot of rides. So something like a dark ride, E.T., which is what E.T. is, was absolutely fantastic for me. So, hashtag Botanicus, everyone. Orbidon, Magdoll, what's up, Keely? I know all the characters. They're great. Welcome home, Eva Rice. Anyways, it's my favorite ride of all time, and it's also my favorite. I wonder if it is the biblical library. And it's also my favorite movie, which they kind of correspond with each other. Because after riding the ride and becoming obsessed with it, my parents were like, oh my God, like, you've never seen E.T. And so we went to Blockbuster that very evening and rented it, and I watched it, and it's one of my favorite movie ever since. When you're like home from school and you're not feeling good, you put on E.T. When you need to pick me up as a grown adult, you put on E.T. It is literally a perfect film. Spielberg, it is Spielberg at his best, at his most Spielbergy. The score, John Williams is the maestro. John Williams is the best living composer, the best film composer of all time.
I'd like to
and this
actually
is
say something.
literally his best score. Like, you cannot, the best score of literally a living legend who has nothing but hit after hit after hit after hit scores. What would you like to say?
I'm going to just go out on a limb here and say he's the most important person in film history.
That's a fair point. I will literally mourn for like a month when John Williams passes. I don't even want to think about it. I know he's getting old. It really like makes me sad because he is just such a, I don't know, like hero of mine. But yeah, it's the two of the best people working in film together. Spielberg, Williams, just coming together to make. If you've ever watched the Spielberg documentary on HBO, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen it, Spielberg basically talks about the fact that all of his movies can kind of be boiled down to boy has daddy issues. Because Spielberg was a boy who had daddy issues, and I'm a sucker for it.
Don't
and
we all?
Don't we all? That don't all boys have daddy issues. This movie is essentially about a child who his parents are going through a divorce, and as Spielberg has always said, it's the one thing that could, make you feel better in a situation like that. And it's this wonder, it's this friendship, it's this absolute bond that E.T., and Elliot have. And the ending, I'm sorry, you're not human if you don't cry at the end of that movie. It's absolutely beautiful. The score, I know it's perfect film, and everyone thinks it's a perfect film, and I'm not bringing anything new to the conversation, but it's just has and will always be my favorite movie of all time. Boo Boo.
Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned Universal Studios Florida.
His favorite movie of all time is Mallrats. Just in case, this is playing the game, and I wanted to be known that I did.
So, yes, and again, I have outright said this is favorite. This is not best. This is favorite. Mallrats is my favorite movie of all time. Mallrats was released on my 13th birthday, and going back to what she said, I was about to tie in the Universal Studios. Well, he was going to propose when Jurassic Park jumped out of the water.
It's true. No, that's Spielberg.
Mallrats, to me, as somebody from of my age, completely summarized what that time frame was. If you were kind of a geeky person growing up in the mid to late 90s, Mallrats is what we did back then.
Played a lot of Sega.
Yeah, and Hartford, the Whale, they only win once every. They only win 13-1 once in a generation. So you got to keep playing. Now he was supposed to get EA Sports, but then he sold out to Sega, and he had to apologize for that. But then he put the EA version into Chasing Amy, and he was able to get Vince Vaughn had to come overnight, and
this was like his favorite fact. I love this behind the scenes tidbit.
So no, Vince Vaughn, that's in Swingers, but he had to put when they had Jason Lee and Affleck. He had to put Jason Lee and Affleck playing EA Sports in the sequel. But hockey is part of every single Kevin Smith movie, if you didn't realize that. But just Mallrats, Brody is I know Coy Jandrew will agree with me. Brody's the person that every slacker is all right, you can.
Brody's
it's okay to be. It's
dick.
okay to be Brody, though. It's okay to be Brody. And,
and Kevin Smith even told him at one point, you're too good to be Brody.
Yeah.
Brody's kind of a dick.
He is. But
a lovable dick. He's got such a sharp tongue and stuff like that. And that movie epitomizes it is so much. There's so much just foul language and just obscene scenes, but everything in the movie is done with heart, and that's what always drew me to it. It's Jay and Silent Bob just doing homages to Batman basically the whole time, and the blueprints they have in the movie. It's so ridiculous. It's
of our
such
two favorite movies, when you think of the one that has heart,
yeah,
I know
Mallrats
is the one that comes to your mind.
but equal.
I'm just kidding.
Same, but different.
Same, but different.
But different.
Yeah, so, and again, I understand 100% that not everyone is going to agree with me, but that is my absolute, I said Step Brothers as well, but that is my absolute comfort film. 100%. And it's I own 4 different copies of it on DVD and Blu-ray. Well, yes.
I like to stare into them.
If you ever get the chance, the most recent Blu-ray has the TV edit, which is absolutely hilarious. Jay Muse didn't even do the voiceover, and some of the lines are so hilariously bad. Like, they don't fit whatsoever into the dialogue of the film. Whoever edited it for TV was just like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. And Kevin Smith thinks it's the most genius thing he's ever seen.
So Mike, can I tell you my Mallrats story?
Yeah, of course.
So when I was a kid, my dad ran a car dealership. And I saw Mallrats when I was 6-7 years old, right? So the line, he fucked me somewhere very uncomfortable. What? The back of a Volkswagen? Was funny to me as a 6-7-year-old kid. Because the back of a Volkswagen was very uncomfortable. And as I grew...
No, wait, hold on. So at that point, was it the Beetle or the Jedi?
I believe it was a Jedi.
Because the Beetle didn't come back out until the late 90s.
It was a Jedi. But here's the thing. The meaning of that joke changed so much for me over the years, but it still landed. I had to let you know.
For very different reasons.
True. You're not wrong.
Yeah. So,
Juice, are you ready to finish this out strong?
Well, what's funny about this is Jake has probably seen me without sunglasses on more than anyone in this entire space.
Yeah.
Except maybe, no, yeah, it would be him. Maybe
he's watched
Larry.
you sleep.
Jerry, maybe.
Larry, Jerry, or Lindsay. Like
I think I might be the person who's seen Jake Acavetta eat the most in this community.
Because of one meal.
Because of one meal. I think I saw him eat at our wedding. I'm not, can I say for certain? I think I've seen him eat twice.
He did eat the wedding.
He ate very little at the wedding. I questioned him on that. I remember specifically.
He ate a lot at the rehearsal.
I know that. He raved about the food.
Juice, tell us your favorite movie.
Yeah, tell us your favorite movie. Sorry, we got off topic.
Ooh, is it?
I know what it is.
So my favorite movie is also like AJ's from 1976. I mean, this is just a great movie about somebody that they're just in a scenario out of the realm of what their
You're saying the food
norm, what is their norm, and it's an underdog story. It's something that everyone loves, and it's not Rocky, it's Taxi Driver.
You were on video for it, yeah.
Well, that took a hard turn.
That's what it was, Taxi Driver.
Wow.
Taxi Driver, my favorite director, Martin Scorsese. Well, he doesn't have a ton of movies.
Our favorite director.
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
He doesn't have like a ton of movies. I love all of his movies. That's the only one that's like way up here. He has like 5 other ones that like sit at the bottom of my top favorite lists. But that's the one. I mean, I wrote like a 15-page paper on that movie in college. I had like a philosophy class, and our professor was like, "You got to write on a philosopher," and he was a cool dude. I talked to him about Star Wars, this professor, and I told him Ben Mendelsohn was gonna be the big villain in Rogue One. He's the guy from Bloodline. Got him super excited for Rogue One. Then he ended up not liking it, so it kind of ruined.
Besides your old Smithy.
But I'm like, all right.
All of our favorite directors, I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Like that's it makes sense with our personality.
Sorry, Juice.
No, I basically went up to the philosophy professor because we were so cool, and I'm basically like, yeah, so I don't know any of these philosophizers. Can I just write the paper off a movie character?
What did you call them?
Philosophizers.
And he's like, oh yeah, bro, whatever you want. I don't care.
That could be a showdown team name.
So
I might make it back.
I wrote a 15-page paper on Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver and like his philosophy and his worldview and how he saw the world or whatever. And like I watched that movie with like 100, like so many different commentaries, and did the video Drew Nerd Chronic quiz on Taxi Driver. Signed up for that to do that. I rewatch it probably once a year, maybe. I should probably watch. Yeah, should get it more regularly, but it's yeah. Me and JT.
Clip this out right now. Christian Harloff, season 9 of the Schmodown. It's JTE and the Juice on a team called the
Philosophizers. I'd pay good money to see that headline, a live event. I'm just saying.
Player.
Give the people what they want.
And the people want the Philosophizers.
Managed by Tom.
Oh,
Yeah.
But no, but in all seriousness, it is like the movie for me. Like I bought it just hearing of like it being a great movie, and I watched it the first time, and I was like, yeah, that was great. But it sat with me and just like grew on me over like months of time, and I rewatched it and was like, this is just amazing. The music, the Bernard Herrmann score with like the little like soft little like sax, and the just everything about it, the slow like kind of build, and then there's only like the one big action scene at the very end. But other than that, it is just a like slow, dark, just build like just psychologically down into this guy's mind. And normally I don't really like movies like that too much. I do like them here and there, but this one, for whatever reason, 70s New York, just being like in the city, experiencing it from from his view, I love it.
This makes me want to do Joker stuff.
And the best part was
society.
I had a roommate in college. I put up like a Travis Bickle like poster where he's got like guns, like and I pulled up the image. But like my other, like our third roommate, like at the end of it, like when I was pretty much like leaving, he was like, yeah, so just so you know, like my roommate was like having nightmares because of your Taxi Driver poster.
Nice.
Whoops.
Love it. My bad. That was not my intention.
Nice.
Like, I still wouldn't have taken it down, but
Damn.
Oh, wow. So we got through it. That's all of our top fives.
Those are good. There's some good picks. AJ didn't get as off the rails as I thought he would with some of them.
I actually did a top, like, so here's the thing. We're talking about the, like my honorable mentions, the surrealist films, recent surrealist films from Nicolas Cage. We're talking about not trusting the media, major corporations. We're talking about fathers and sons. All of this is a primer, if you go back to my top 5, for the films you should watch before experiencing Space Jam 2. And
Oh, God.
Cut him off, everybody. Cut him off before we go into a 2-hour diatribe.
sending them on you.
all right, guys. So should we work on signing out and getting out of here?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, Will Rowhood. Save the ice cream. Everybody, just a little admin thing for all our diehard fans that come and watch us every week, which we do appreciate you. Thank you. Next week we will be on a hiatus as we prepare for meeting IRL. So next Wednesday there will not be your normally scheduled What the Show. So I'm sorry to break all 7 of your hearts. But we will return the following week at your normal scheduled time on Wednesday evenings at about 9:30, 10 to discuss our Orlando shenanigans. So mark your calendars.
And anyone in the Orlando area next week, y'all might get all 4 of us together.
Yeah, that's going to be us in the car on our way to McDonald's to get 50th anniversary.
So the 4 of us will be partying it up in Orlando. And we have 2 other guests.
I get to introduce them to Botanicus. I'm excited.
One I'm excited to see, and one of them,
He's a jabroni. I'm excited to see you,
I've got
Jeff.
pictures for both.
We're going to be partying it up with Chance Ellison and Jeff Alterman.
The 6 of us will be partying it up in Orlando next weekend. So
Wait, did you just take call to actions?
Sure did.
we
Sure
100% did.
Sure did. Your people we broken.
And AJ's gone.
But anyways, yeah, everyone get excited to hear stories. I'm
2
sure we'll have
weeks.
some good.
We probably
things.
won't have Chance because he's going to be studying for something pretty big. But
Yes.
but the 4 of us
The
and
rest of the
Jeff.
gang will be here.
Yeah,
to
the 4 of us
discuss-
and Jeff in 2 weeks.
to discuss how amazing it was to meet Orbidon and Magdal
Magdal.
and Teely and
And then
the
also
Taylors.
Jack the Clown.
That part I'm not as excited for.
I feel like you're making something up.
Anyways, everybody, thank you for coming and talking movies with us. Movies are great, even if people don't yes to it. Even if not everything is your cup of tea. Everyone's got their own thing. Movies are great. Everyone go watch movies and love movies and disappear into a story and music and greatness. Thank you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.